Hi everyone, welcome back to my studio. In response to the last video I put up of the the fishing boats in Mullion Cove, Cornwall, I've had a few questions from people asking me how do I go about drawing boats. They seem to be having a lot of difficulty in capturing the sort of the size, the shape of a boat. So what I've decided, it might be best if I do a two-part video. The first part will be based on drawing three different boats in three different positions: side on, kind of stern on, and bow on. So we've got the three different positions that a boat can sit in. Obviously they can sit in between those positions, but this will give you the rough idea of what it's like to actually capture the shape of a boat from those three positions. And then after we've drawn them, we'll draw them in to a reasonable detail, and then the follow-up video will be about doing the same three boats that you've practiced drawing with pencil and painting, but this time just doing a faint outline, an outline of pencil, and then painting the same three boats in watercolour. Now I think that's a good exercise. I think it's something that will be useful to a lot of people, and it might answer a few questions. What I've noticed is that when people are painting boats, sometimes they tend to get the hull shape too swollen looking. It looks too bulbous, and they don't actually get the shape of the boat. Boats are very elegant looking things, and it's really important to get that nice curvature on the actual hull of the boat and the way it cuts in at the stern, getting the right levels, getting the mast straight in relation to the bow. That if you're looking head on at a boat, you want to make sure everything's in line, and the same applies if you're looking stern on. So yeah, so what we're going to do today is we're going to draw three boats, get the correct values in the drawing, ready for us to then a follow-up video to be done the next couple of days, painting the same three boats in the same position. So I hope that will be of some use to you. So we might as well just get on with it now. I'll just get my paper ready and we'll give it a go. Okay then, this is the three boats we're going to look at today in different sorts of positions. We've got one kind of side on to us, one head on, and one stern on. One's a kind of fishing boat, and we've got a more modern sailing boat here, and this one's more of a traditional type sailing boat there. Okay, they're all on the beach. They're not in the water on this occasion. They're all high and dry, waiting for the sea, waiting for the tide to come back in. So we're going to have a go at drawing these three. I'm going to work from this sketch, and I'll make available this sketch to you. If anybody wants to download it from my website, they'll be able to pick it up from the website to work from. I'll leave the address and in the link below the video for all that information. First of all, what you need to do is make sure you've got a sharp pencil. Put the ruler down there. So if your pencil's not sharp to start with, you don't really stand a chance. So keep your pencil nice and sharp. I never use, or very seldom do I use, a proper sharpener. I've got any sort of like craft knife will do, but I use that because I can get a better point on it. Something like that. We're going to start with this one first. And what I always do is I always start with measuring the top of the bow on any boat. That's my given point, and then I measure out from that position. So I work out, I look at the top of the bow there to the bottom, and to get the length of the boat I work out how many times that goes into the length, and then I kind of mark out the back. So we'll start with that. Quite simple. I just do a little dot. And I draw the shape just lightly to start with. I don't want to make really hard lines to start with. Just keep very gentle, light pressure on your page, and come down. I want to work out. Right, so we've got one. What have we got? One, 2, 3 and a bit maybe. 1, 2, 3 and a bit. So that's the side of the boat. That's what they call the gunnel, the top of the boat. So I know that's the rough shape. of the boat. And because I've only drawn it very lightly, I can make changes to that if I need to. Bring the sketch back. Now I'm looking at this area on the boat, the curve. Now they're getting that curve, the right angle of that curve is really important. If you get it too straight down, it will look wrong, and if you cut it in too much, it will look wrong too. So you've got to kind of look at it and try and work out what that curve is. Now what I do, if I can't figure something out, I draw an imaginary line down here to the sand. Then that gives me a shape that I can look at here, and that shape helps me determine what the curve is on the stern of the boat. So all I've done is drawn an imaginary line. Well, I've actually drawn a line, but usually I just imagine it from the back of the stern here to the bottom. That then gives me this kind of triangle shape and lets me see what the curve is on the stern of the boat. I find that very useful to do. So we'll do that now. Let's do the imaginary line, and I want to come in about there. Again, I'm going to do it very light because I can always change this when if I need to. Okay, so we've got that lovely shape there, and we'll crispen these lines up a bit in the next stage when we know we've got it all right. It's all ready to be committed to. Okay, so next I'm going to put the cabin in. I'm just going to sketch this as the top, the deck of the boat, and I'm going to put this area in here now. So I'm just going to mark it. I'm looking at the distance from the stern, the bow of the boat, sorry, to where the cabin starts. Okay, that's crucial. You want to make sure you get that that's the measurement you want. Once you've got that right, you're kind of set and done, really. So I know it's about there. And again, you don't want to make sure you go too high. You want to look at it, and if you need to, use your pencil to measure the depth of this area here, so you don't end up going too high. Okay, if you end up here, it's going to look silly, and if you go too low, it won't look right either. But you'll be better off going too low than too high. Too low and you can get away with it, but if you go too high on the cabin area, it will look wrong. So we're going to go up, just lightly sketch it in. We go there, we go there. Okay, so we've got that in. Now we've got these rails around the front of the boat. I'm just going to sketch those in. Just doing it very lightly again. There. And we got some at the back. When I put these lines in a bit heavier in a minute, you'll see them a bit better. Okay. Now you've got the reflection of the boat in the sand, so we've got to look at that too. We really want to get this bit right. So the reflection, strangely, doesn't start right underneath, on this boat particularly, it doesn't start right underneath the bow of the boat. It actually starts further in, because the bow of the boat is slightly off the sand here. It's slightly off, so to give that illusion, we have to start the shadow further back. So it's being mindful of these little things and just really studying the pictures before you start to make sure you've got the right understanding of what's happening. So I'm just going to take it to there. Okay. So we've got the rough shape here. It's all looking good. Now we want to look at the mast, where we place the mast. Again, getting the mast in the right position is important. You don't want to be too far forward or too far back. So again, now you've got this distance correct, it's pretty easy to know where to put the mast. I'm going to go about there, and that goes right on and shoots off the page. Don't get rulers out and things like that to draw the mast. Just use it freehand. The lines don't have to be perfect. They'll be fine. And then the mast, the boom, sorry, which carries the sail, goes off there. You can sketch the sail in now. And then we've got the head sail, roller reefing on this one, they call it, I think. and the head saw there, which comes down and connects with the bow of the boat. So you've got all, now we've sketched in, very lightly, but we've sketched all the main components of the boat. And basically we started from this point here and used that as our start point, and we measured everything from there. Once we got the shape of the hull in, the rest was pretty easy to sketch in. There's a little window there. There's a little window at the front. Now, all boats have anti-fouling on them to stop the weed growing on the bottom for the bit that's under the water. So getting that line in again is really crucial. You don't want it too high. If you're up here, it's going to look wrong. If it's too low, then it won't look right either. So again, measuring that distance from the top down to where the water line is, or from the bottom up, but make sure you get this area the distance right. So I know it's about there, and I know this because I've painted boats many times, and I used to live in the Isles of Scilly, so I was around boats all the time. Now I'm going to sort of kind of make these these lines a bit more definite. Before I start shading in. Now I'm just going to use nice big hatching lines. I'm going to shade in the areas of the boat. I know where the beneath the water line it's a lot darker because you've got the anti-fouling. So we'll just sketch that in darker. The cabin's slightly in shadow here. We've got our window. Lock that in. We can put our mast in. Make that a little bit. And we've got our roller reefing at the front there, so that's quite thick because it's a sail up there. Then you've got all your little what they call sheets on the boat. You might know them as ropes, but sailors call them sheets. You've got those sheets coming down there, which hold the mast still. Now, a bit more shading on that hull. Okay, and we've got a reflection here. Oh, just broke my pencil, pressing too hard. There we go, there's our first boat. And you could just play around shading it, getting the shape right. You can spend longer on it than I have. Then we have your mooring line here, the buoy that's tied to. Have a little reflection there. But you don't have to be slavishly sort of drawing everything really, really accurately. You can just use quite descriptive pencil marks to get, to make it interesting, to make your drawing more lively. Okay, so there we've done our first one. All I can suggest is, this is a common position you can be presented with boats when you're out sketching. So it's a good one to practice. And once you've found some pictures to practice your drawing, when you go out and paint boats from life, things will become a lot easier. Right, we'll move on to this one now, which is the little fishing boat. And we'll just do this one here. And again, getting these angles is right. So I'm going to be starting from this position. So as long as I put a little dot there, and I can measure everything in relation to that point. You could start at the stern if you wanted to. Some people might choose to do that. Personally, I always like to start there and work my way down. Now, to get this angle here, to see how far up it goes, you kind of like look at your bow mark where you put your little dots, and if you draw a line straight across here like that, you can see how far down that line is there. So you can use that to get the right spot. I'll demonstrate that now. It's easier than trying to explain it. So I got my shape that way, and then it curves round quite steeply. I want to come up to, and what I said, I'm looking at this line here. I'm taking a straight line across. I can see I've got to drop down about 10 mil. So if I draw an imaginary line in there, and if I drop down to that point, we're kind of spot on there. Absolutely spot on. And again, this is another common sort of position boats will present themselves that, where you can, paint them. And once you've learnt the shape, you've got the shape. Most boats are the same, slight variations obviously, but generally they're the same. You can't, you'll be flying, you'll be going away well. Now this boat is also sitting on a slight angle. It's not straight like so, it's kind of leaning down. So you've got to make sure you get these angles right here. This angle here, and this angle here has got to be right. If you get this one at one angle and this at a different angle, your boat's going to look twisted as if it's broken. So you've got to make sure that all these angles marry up to the same angle. I'll just demonstrate that now. So I've put this one in here. This is the cabin I'm just putting in there. So it's crucial I get this angle for the stern at the same point. And again, this angle's crucial as well. But getting these shapes right is just practice. The more you have a go at drawing them, the more you'll get the knack of it. And that's all it is. There's no great mystery to it. It's just seeing it. Once you start seeing it, you'll find it easier to draw it. We got the window there. Sorry about the washing machine in the background, if you can hear that. Beyond my control. I'm just drawing the rudder in at the back, taking the curves down, and there we have the shape of the boat. It was that simple. There's a slight shadow there. Okay, now I'm just putting the shadow in at the back, and I'm just using the cross hatching lines all going in the same direction to do that. Now we've got a water line again where we've got our anti-fouling. Comes up at the back, propeller there. We've got some little fenders sticking off here. 1, 2. And then at the back we've got a little mast that comes up, keeps the boat head to wind when it's at sea. I call that a mizzen sail. And put that at the back there. So we've got the shape of that one. Okay, it's pretty simple. It doesn't matter if you're a little bit out. Don't sort of punish yourself. It's okay to be. Nobody's going to look at it and think, "Oh, that's not quite right." They're not going to worry about that too much. There we go. There's that boat. We have our mooring line and our fender, maybe a couple coming off the back as well, just to make it look okay. No, I hope that was useful. Feel free to, in the comment section when you at the end of the video, to leave any questions, or come to the website, sign up, and you can ask questions in the forum. I'll be there, or other members will be there to answer questions for you. We've got some very experienced artists at our website, and they're always there to very helpful and always prepared to help you out and answer any questions you might have. Right, we're going to do our last one quickly. This one's looking head on. Okay, the boat's just bang in front of us, and again, if you look, if you notice, it's actually leaning slightly to the right. So we've got to make sure we get that angle of the bow the same as the angle of the mast. If the bow's leaning that way and the mast is leaning that way, it's going to look wrong. So getting those angles right is really important. I was also saying about the shape of the hull. This is really important, where you don't come out too much. You make sure you keep the sort of elegant shape of the hull of the boat. So we'll just pop him in here. I'm just going to sharpen the pencil again because I broke it off a minute ago. Okay, right. So first of all, I'm determining what this angle is on the boat. So it's about there, and I'm going to do it. As long as we make sure the mast is at the same angle as this, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you don't get it right to that, but as long as you get the same angle here as you get on your mast, then it will be fine. Now this is the shape that we're going to be looking at now. This shape here. Okay, and this shape on that side. We want to make sure we get that nice, it doesn't belly out too much. It comes kind of straight down, then it curves under itself and comes back towards the bow. So something like that. And again, we can alter these lines when we want to. There we go. The stem of the boat can be made a bit thicker. Okay, so we've got the approximate shape we're looking for there. We can change it if we're not happy, but I think we're pretty much there. And then we've got this cabin that sits on the top. We'll look at it head on. Pop that on. And now what I wanted to get to quickly was the mast. Now the mast has to be at the same angle as the bow. So we're cutting up in front of that. That's okay. And then what you have, your ropes, or your shrouds they call them, the wires that hold the mast up, will come back down to this point here. So you want to make sure they look like they're under tension, and you just draw some faint lines in like that. You don't have to get a ruler out, just a nice swift line will make them look pretty convincing. Now the mast is hanging off on this boat slightly down here. There's a guy up here Let's get him in, doing some work on the boat. You know what he's doing. Sketch him in quickly. And the mast comes right down here. And again, it's got cables or ropes that are holding the mast on. And I'm just going to put those indicating, because you don't put anything there, it will look wrong. It will. People wonder what's holding it up. And the sail is on the boat like so. When we come round to paint these on the next video, we'll obviously have to draw them again and not put all the shading on, but we'll actually do the same 3 boats on one page, and we'll paint each boat and learn how to get the shape and the shadow under the hull. So now we're going to do some shading on this side of the boat. Nice big scribble lines, it's all it's got to be. And you've got under this side, you've got some reflections going on in the water. To pick up the shape of the hull. So it's all about observation, really, just about looking at what you're doing. But if you don't overcommit yourself earlier on with the pencil, if you just sketch lightly, you can, because I've corrected the shape of that hull just by making sure that the initial shape I did was light, and so when I wanted to come back, I could alter the shape a little bit with a pencil. But that's it really. We've got 3 boats there, all in different positions. Sketch with a pencil. It's taken us 25 minutes with me talking. It'd been a lot quicker if I wasn't talking. And I hope you come back for the next video, because the next one will be we'll draw them and we'll actually paint them, and that will be a lot more fun. But I would have plenty of time. I would really just practice these 3 different shapes that we've done today. Just do very light sketches. You don't have to shade them every time. Maybe just practice drawing the shapes of the boats and get used to drawing the boats, because the more you practice it, the easier it will become, and you'll be kind of like, one big hurdle will be over, because I know a lot of people have difficulty drawing boats. But it's just understanding the shapes of the hull. Once you've understood the shape of the hull,